Should be the splash screen come up on the screen. All being well. Greetings, P2K family. Hopefully they can hear us. Nev, as if you put that.
Well, it's April Fool's. As Darren pointed out.
Oh, it is April Fool today, yeah. That is true.
Oh, there was some very poor April Fools going on. And I have to say, we shouldn't really say this about the Imperial War Museum, but they had some bit naff April Fool's gags on their site today, on their Facebook site.
I'll have to
and having spoken to their comms team this week, I don't think it was their finest hour. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, dear. Have we got volume then? Let's have a little listen. Oh, yeah, we have.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, we definitely have got volume. Good.
Yep, we like volume. Yep.
Yeah, so it's lovely outside at the minute.
Yes, we haven't had a lot of sunshine in Buckinghamshire, but we have had light. And I think I'll take that because it's not raining.
Yeah.
So that's okay. We like that.
Well, the landscapers have now 80% finished. Obviously, they're taking a break now. They've still got a little bit out the front to do, and then they've got some stuff still out the back of the garden to do.
Yep.
But they've done honestly, it looks stunning. Did you see the back?
Yes, I did.
The brick weave.
Well, the pictures you sent me, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. That's basically, Nev, what it looks like now. As we stand.
Very good. Nice. Yes, Tanya says NASA to the moon, baby.
Are we going back to the moon again?
They are. Well, they're going round the moon.
Oh.
They're not going to the moon, they're going round it.
I haven't been keeping up with the goings on of the spacey thing. I take it there must be a shuttle sim somewhere, for the space shuttle, the old space shuttle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, I think the launch is 4 hours away, 5 hours away, something like that. So I have to say, I mean, I'm all for space exploration. I think it's a very good thing to do, but boy, is it dangerous. I mean, there are very few guarantees, are there? And there have been multiple events in the past where things have not gone to plan. And fortunately, most of them have not been carrying crew, but I just, it's all a bit difficult. Rockets, hydrogen, oxygen, fueling, and lots of it.
I was kind of hoping that we'd be at the stage now in mankind that we'd at least have, a Starship Enterprise and the ability to transport.
Well, yeah, and there was a thing on the BBC. Was it last week? One of their tech programs. They're going to have a Starlink system on the moon for communications.
Oh, okay.
I just had to point out that it's not very habitable on the moon. But anyway, why bring detail into it like that?
How are they going to power it?
I don't know.
Solar panels?
I mean, I've got to say that the whole space thing absolutely fascinated me when I was a kid. So I was 8 years old when they landed on the moon on the 20th of July, 1969, and we were glued to the telly. It was a big moment, and NASA did a lot with the Apollo program, and then subsequently the shuttle. But it was a bit of a race against the Russians at the time, and now it's a race against the Chinese, probably. But it is all a bit. I don't know. I obviously hope for the best with all of these situations, but it does concern me a lot that things can go catastrophically wrong, and I really hope they don't.
I always thought that, being the Trek fan that I am, one of the things that I'd love to have from Star Trek, Nev, would be a holodeck. Do you know what the holodeck is?
Oh, yes, yeah. Even I know that, yes.
Yeah, I'd absolutely love to have a holodeck. Man, the stuff you could do.
Yeah. No, I wasn't a big Trekkie when it was on television, but when it was on, I did watch it quite often, I have to say. One of my colleagues that I used to work with, Brian, he's an absolute Star Trek nut, and he's 10 years younger than me. And he'd always come up with Star Trek sayings as part of quizzes that we used to do at work. And of course, I would never get the answer right, but inevitably there was at least 5 or 6 people that knew the answer immediately.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, dear.
Richard Adams, good evening.
Well, I'll be in touch, Richard, very shortly regarding our Isle of Wight trip in about 10 days' time. See if you would like to meet up for dinner at my expense, obviously, with your lady wife and my lady wife too, just for clarity.
I'm with you, Tanya. I forgot about that. A replicator. Oh, man, the things you could do with that.
Is that like a photocopier, is it?
The replicator, that's what they have on board the ship. That's what they get the meals from.
Oh,
so you can say, computer, full English breakfast, and it's there.
Oh, okay. Like it, yeah.
Yeah, I watched my favourite, Richard Adams, because I know you're in the chat room there, and you're speaking about it. My favourite Star Trek series was always Next Gen with Patrick Stewart. Well, that was definitely my favourite series out of all of them. Closely followed by Deep Space Nine was a good one. And Voyager I enjoyed as well, to be fair. Voyager was good, with Catherine Janeway.
Oh.
And the one that didn't get too good a reviews was Enterprise. That never got the rave reviews that they hoped, unfortunately. But yeah, T.L. Grey. That's why the Next Generation, Tanya, is the reason why I drink Earl Grey now.
Wow.
It's because of Patrick Stewart saying tea, Earl Grey, hot. And I love Earl Grey now. It's lovely. I absolutely love Earl Grey.
Okay.
No milk, though. Never put milk in Earl Grey.
No.
Gemma made that mistake the other night. She made me an Earl Grey and forgot and put milk in.
Oh, dear. No. Shouldn't be doing that.
No.
Tanya says her favourites are the original and Voyager.
Yeah. The original series is good.
Okay.
Yeah, the old Kirk. Yeah.
Yep.
The original, the film, the motion pictures were brilliant. So,
are you ready with the clock, Carlos?
I am ready to push the button, Mr. B.
Lovely. So if you could do that in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's running.
4, 3, 2, 1. Masha is in the chat room. Hello, Masha.
And it's running. Oh, we're definitely going, Nev. Right, here we go.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Well, hello and welcome to episode 595 of the Plane Talking UK podcast. I'm Carlos, and in this week's show, Jet2.com and Jet2 Holidays arrive at London Gatwick. The airline's 14th UK base officially opens its doors to passengers flying out of the Sussex airport. Squark 7400, the UK introduced a new drone code and new airport rules in force at many UK airports, but there's still one thing that still catches people out. In the military segment, Spain closes its airspace to any aircraft involved in the Iran war, and Armando gives us his weekly update on some of the operational challenges that all of the crews are facing out there. We have our usual retro airline ad of the week, which has two adverts from 1979 and 1991 featuring some heavy metal aircraft, and Nev has his usual update on the 600th show for us also. So, not joining us this week are Matt and Nick and Andy. Unfortunately, they're all busy doing things. I know that Matt is he's on board a cruise liner in a fjord in Norway somewhere. But joining me from the depths of the glorious Buckinghamshire countryside is, of course, our senior presenter of all things BA and Seat 1A. It's Neville Bounds.
When you say senior, you mean old, and I accept that nomenclature. So, yes, hello, folks. Hope everybody is well this evening, this afternoon, this morning, wherever you are. And Andy may join us later on when he's home from work. But you know what he's like after a day in the sim of criticising other people's flying. He's a bit cross sometimes. So maybe he won't join us, but we'll see how we get on. I just wanted to say a bit of a shout out to Jerry at Big Jet TV. Jerry, as some of you may know, has been going through some horrific stuff after his heart operation a couple of weeks ago, and there were some complications associated with it, but he's now back home, and I'm very pleased that he is as well. So get well soon, Jerry. Hope you are on the mend, but just take it easy and slowly, my friend. Don't rush these things. We do miss your content, I have to say. Carlos and I were big fans of it, and when there's windy conditions at Heathrow, we always tune in. So hope you get better soon, matey, and you take good care of yourself, and we'll hopefully see you back at Heathrow sometime soon.
Yeah, we missed the action from the runway, don't we, Nev? All those bounce landings and the go-arounds.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's all about your health.
Yes.
And if you haven't got your health, you haven't got anything.
No.
Really, have you? So, but no, I hope the fellow is getting better soon. Certainly, he's on the mend by the sounds of things. But there's some other things to do with his eyesight and what have you. He's definitely on the mend. I understand. So, good luck to you, Jerry and Jilly. Hope things continue to improve for both of you.
So we're going to say a warm welcome to all the chat room this evening. Top of the list. Guess who's at the top of the list this week, Nev? I bet you can't guess.
Well, that fella, Mazouz. He's a very, very keen chap, isn't he?
He is keen. Well done, Mazouz.
Yeah.
Darren Smith's also in there. Hello to you, Darren. We have got Tanya, the lovely Tanya. Hello to you too. And we have got Dwight Law 2105. Hello to you as well. Good to see you in the chat room. Richard Adams, greetings. Good to see you in there, Richard. We've got Masha, the lovely Masha. Hello to you as well. Good to see you. Bill. Hello, Bill. Wouldn't be the chat room without our Bill in there. Good to see you, Bill. And we have got... Who else have we got? Oh, Neville Bounds is in there as well. I'm glad to see you in there, Nev. Although you are called Neville Bounds 5762.
These numbers are meaningless. I do not understand how they've crept in to the system.
It's so weird. I have no idea what that's about. So greetings to everyone who's joined us tonight on the show. Thanks for tuning in. And don't forget, if you don't already, I'm sure you all do, but if you don't already, subscribe to us on YouTube, Plain Talking UK. Hit the bell icon to be notified when we're live, just like we are now, bringing you brand new content this week, as we do every Wednesday night here, 7 o'clock on YouTube. We'd love to have you. If you are an audio listener, come and join us, because the chat room are very much fun, I tell you. But we've got lots to get through on the show tonight. Some great news stories. Obviously, we've got that retro airline out of the week, and also a nice little update regarding the 600th show, which many of you are attending who are in the chat room now. So, Nev, if you'd like to introduce the first part of the show.
Yes, well, of course, it's the first of the month, so this is where we say a very big thank you to all the people that support us. And the Patreon donators this month are Richard Adams, Derek Smith, Bill Aronek, Sam Dawson, Alex Robinson, Dirk S., Sasha Beer, Stephen Ivey, Nick Codling, Louis Cashares, Alan White, Stephen Howland, Tanya Wyman, Nicholas Hewitt, Masha Hertz, Ruben Wells, Neil Lamworn, Graham Haley, Jonathan Warner, Jordan Rose, Andrew Wilson, Captain Jeff, Adam Spink, Liz Piper, Jeff Ward, Stuart Backer, Stephanie Plummer, Carl S. in New Jersey, John Falk, and a new donator this month, the man with the single name, Sturman. He does have another name, I believe, as well, but we always call him Sturman. Bit like Lulu or Dana, if you're for a certain age. And the people that donate to us via PayPal are Jenny Parkinson and Mazuz Kareem. Thank you to one and all of you. It makes a massive difference to us to keep the show on the air, and your contributions are really gratefully received. Thank you very much. As always, we've got plenty of commercial segment info to give you, and that's coming up right now.
The captain has turned on the seatbelt light. Please make your seats and fasten your seatbelts.
Buttons to push here when you're doing this show, running the show from the studio here.
Indeed. I just want to check that you've got your mic switched on.
It is on.
Carl.
It's on.
Oh, good.
Worry.
Lovely.
It's me. I forgot to push the fader up. But anyway, first story this week comes to us from dmnews.co.uk. Jet2 and Jet2 Holidays touchdown at London Gatwick. Airline's 14th UK base officially opens this week. So holiday giant Jet2.com and Jet2 Holidays have officially marked a new era of travel for passengers in the South East following the successful launch of operations from their brand new base at London Gatwick on the 26th of March. The inaugural flight, which departed to a fanfare at the airport, signifies Gatwick becoming the 14th UK base for the award-winning airline and tour operator. The move represents a massive multi-million-pound investment in the region, bringing more competition and choice for sunseekers and city breakers alike. For the summer 26 season, Jet2 has hit the ground running with an extensive schedule. The airline is basing a fleet of brand new fuel-efficient aircraft at Gatwick to serve a variety of Mediterranean and European destinations. Key highlights of the Gatwick launch include flights operating to hotspots including Mallorca, Faro, Alicante, Tenerife and Antalya. Job creations. Obviously, the new base has created hundreds of local jobs, ranging from flight deck cabin crew to ground ops, who they call the Red Team, customer service roles, and flight frequency. Many routes will see daily or multiple weekly departures, catering to the high demand for flexible holiday durations. And while Jet2 has long been a powerhouse in the North and Midlands, the expansion into Gatwick allows them to tap into the vast London and South East market to more directly serve the East or the UK. Steve Heapy, CEO of Jet2 and Jet2 Holidays, stated that the opening was a major milestone in the company's history, citing the strong demand from travel agents and customers in the area for VIP customer service. The airline's arrival at Gatwick is expected to be a major win for travellers who value the included essentials with Jet2, which are the famous 22 kilos of baggage allowance and 10 kilos of handling. That's not bad, Nev. Package security, the peace of mind that comes with atoll protected holidays, the award-winning service, consistently high rankings in customer satisfaction surveys, and the opening of Gatwick base comes just a year after the successful launch of their Liverpool base back in 2024, showing no signs of slowing down. As Terminal North at Gatwick prepares for a record-breaking summer season, the site of the signature silver and red Jet2 aircraft is set to become a permanent fixture on the Sussex runway. Whether you are looking for a quick getaway or a long family holiday, the addition of the Jet2s to Gatwick's roster provides a fresh alternative for those who prefer a customer-first approach to flying. Now, I can't say I've flown on Jet2 millions of times, but I have flown on Jet2 a few years ago out to, funnily enough, Malta. I know, shock. Actually, no, I found the airline is awesome. That is what they say. The service is great. The crew were really good. The only thing I would say was their list of snacks available on board was a bit mediocre, but you know.
Well, yeah, but I'm just amazed, and I've not really paid a lot of attention to this, I don't think, but I had no idea they had aircraft at 14 different bases now in the UK. That is incredible, isn't it? And they're doing very well, clearly. And despite what's going on in the Middle East at the moment, people will still want to get away. So the fact they've got these new A321s as well, in addition to the existing aircraft that they've got, plus this new Gatwick base, I think it's going to be a massive plus for them. So, no, good for them. And everyone I've heard that has flown on Jet2 has had a good experience. Some of my previous work chums have flown Jet2, and they've liked it very much.
It is a nice airline, Nev. That is, and they. To be fair, their flights aren't too bad, Nev. Actually, if you were to book a flight with them, the prices are not too bad. But they are more popular for their package holidays, is what they're all about. Yeah,
the inclusive tour stuff. Yeah, absolutely. So no, good for them. And I think the more airlines that come into the market here, the better from a competitive point of view as well. So very pleased to hear that. Good for them.
Yeah, good for them. Right, Nev, you've got the next one, and moving to BA, obviously, with you, and good news if you want to listen to podcasts, but not if you want to listen to our podcast, because it's probably not going to be there. But
I know this is on the futuretravelexperience.com, and it says British Airways, a member of IAG, has teamed up with Audible, a leading creator and provider of premium audio storytelling, to bring new spoken word entertainment to travellers. More than 250 hours of podcasts and audiobooks can now be enjoyed for free across every BA long-haul flight through its in-flight entertainment system. A range of bestsellers and new releases spanning action, romance, pop culture and children's content will be available, with a particular focus on content that showcases British talent, including homegrown authors, actors and stories. This marks the first time that Audible has been available on board a UK airline, giving customers exclusive access to a curated selection of titles, such as the brand new Harry Potter full cast audio editions, Audible's adaptation of Pride and Prejudice, The Little Mermaid, Ghost Stories, Stephen Fry's Definitive Collection and Hot White Heist. Spoken word entertainment has surged in popularity over the past few years, and our collaboration with Audible brings an exciting new chapter to our in-flight entertainment offering, says BA's Director of Marketing, Hamish McVeigh. This collaboration introduces millions of customers to endless new content from leading authors and podcasters, with more than a quarter of the collection celebrating exceptional British talent, from gripping fiction and family favourites to well-being podcasts. We hope everyone finds something that they'll love during their flight. Customers who are new to Audible can sign up for a free 2-month trial, allowing them to continue listening to their favourite titles throughout their holiday and once they're back at home. We're thrilled to bring Audible's premium audio storytelling to British Airways customers, making it easier than ever for passengers to turn travel time into an enriching audio experience, says Audible's Global Head of Media, Ops and Business Development, Tom McKenna. With a slate of award-winning titles, family favourites and distinctly British content, we're continuing to innovate on how listeners experience outstanding spoken word entertainment, whether they're revisiting a beloved story or discovering their next great listen. That does not include PTUK, unfortunately.
No.
However, you can just download that for free on wherever you get your podcast anyway.
It's a good idea now. I mean, not everyone wants to board a flight and watch a movie or watch, cartoon or watch a program. So a lot of people do like audiobooks and kind of podcasts and stuff.
No, absolutely. I completely agree. I think I've certainly noticed it since I've not been doing the travelling that I was, either long distances in the car, the train or the plane. I'm just not listening to podcasts at all at the moment because I'm not in anywhere long enough to do that. But I think if they're going to offer this sort of service on board the long-haul BA services, then that's good. Yeah, a worthwhile addition, I would say.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Good idea. Right, news from gulfnews.com, and this one's quite good. PIA, Pakistan International Airlines, touches down in London after 6-year hiatus. I didn't realise, Nev, that they had not been into London for that long.
Yes, we have not allowed them to use our airspace.
After a 6-year pause, Pakistan International Airlines returned to London skies last Sunday, signalling a major milestone in Pakistan, or UK to Pakistan, air travel. Flight PK785 departed Islamabad International Airport at 1:19 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, kicking off a service that will operate 3 weekly flights from Islamabad and 1 from Lahore, offering passengers faster, more convenient travel between the two countries. The inaugural flight was celebrated with a ribbon-cutting ceremony attended by Pakistan's Defence Secretary Lieutenant General Muhammad Ali, British High Commissioner Jane Marriott and PIA Consortium Chairman Arif Habib. Defence Minister Asif had earlier confirmed that the direct flights from Islamabad and Lahore to London's Heathrow Airport would resume on March the 29th and 30th respectively. PIA had received official clearance last September to restart operations in the UK after nearly 5 years, initially resuming flights to Manchester, followed by Birmingham, and now London. The revival of these routes is expected to strengthen business tourism and cultural ties while offering Pakistan diaspora and international travellers a seamless journey. All tickets for the inaugural Islamabad-London flight sold out, and return flights similarly fully booked, and passengers flying from Lahore to London will enjoy approximately 8 hours of travel, along with PIA's hallmark onboard hospitality, generous baggage allowance and modern amenities. With direct flights now linking Islamabad and Lahore to London, PIA is poised to reconnect communities, support tourism and trade, and offer travellers a faster, more comfortable gateway to the UK. The relaunch comes in the wake of PIA's privatisation, where a 75% stake was acquired by a consortium led by the Arif Habib Corporation for 1.35 billion rupees. The consortium plans to expand the airline's fleet of 264 aircraft, signalling a broader effort to modernise operations and strengthen international connectivity. Can't say I've ever flown PIA, Nev, but... yeah, do you know why they...
Yes, it's an internet question. You'll have to look it up, Carlos,
okay.
whilst I'm talking. But yeah, they were not allowed to fly into UK and some European airspace as well. This goes back, as you say, 6 years now. It's, well, it's a long story behind it, but they've obviously improved their standards and safety and all the rest of it. That the UK and EASA are happy for them to use the airspace again. But of course, it's important because it's a big market, especially to the European continent from Pakistan. So it's vital.
Do you not think this might upset some of the other players now, like BA and some of the other airlines that have been utilising that route themselves?
I don't know. I mean, it possibly, but at the end of the day, I think there's enough traffic to warrant it all. The national carrier of the country and the other national carrier of the country as well. So yeah, I would say it's not a big problem.
Right. Up next is quite an interesting one, Nev, and I found this week because we all love a nice squawk.
Well, we do. It's on flightradar24.com. And it says on May the 7th of this year, air traffic aficionados and controllers in the UK will have to add another conspicuity code to their memory bank. Squawk code 7400 is to be used exclusively by unmanned aircraft that have lost communications with their remote pilot and have reverted to autonomously flying a pre-programmed route. So why not just use any of the already existing codes? Couldn't 7600 radio failure or 7700 general emergency be applied and work just as well? Well, apparently this UK CAA feels otherwise, and I think probably most people are bound to agree with that. If we just start with the most famous of the conspicuity codes, the 7700 squawk. Well, when used, an aircraft immediately will soar to the top flight of aircraft currently tracked on Flight Radar 24. It basically means that the aircraft is experiencing an emergency, the extent of which may put human life at risk. Should an unmanned aircraft happily flying along a pre-programmed route having lost comms with its operator fall under this category? Well, probably not. But what about 7600? Isn't the above scenario the very definition of a communications failure? Well, squawking 7600 would imply that there is at least one pilot who can still see and control the aircraft, but that is all by means of voice and data communications that are lost. In the case of a remotely controlled aircraft, this isn't exactly the case. At this point, there is no human involved and the drone is on its own. A dedicated code, hence, is a clever way to let controllers immediately know what he or she is dealing with. In this case, an unmanned aircraft, that is, it is following a predetermined route to a presumably safe location. The new rules apply to UAS, so unmanned aerial systems, operating beyond visual line of sight, which is shortened to BVLOS. Typically, a drone operating in controlled airspace would have informed the local air traffic service about its intentions and what kind of procedure to fly if connection is lost before getting airborne. If 7400 appears on the screen, the flight controllers would know to cross-reference the pre-briefed procedure and protect the airspace accordingly. If the actual routing flown would differ substantially, it would be treated like any other unknown aircraft. Well, the UK is not starting from scratch here. The FAA in the US, in fact, authorised the use of 7400 already back in 2016 for US-operated UAS flying under FAA jurisdiction. 7400 has therefore been the expected lost link squawk for nearly a decade. It's noteworthy that the code hasn't been officially recognised by ICAO yet. Europe's EASA updated the standardised European rules of the air in 2025 and introduced a new code, 7601. That covers radio communication failure in crewed aircraft, but so far anything similar for drones losing contact with its master has failed to materialise and isn't globally recognised yet, so you'll not see UAS squawking 7400 on Flight Radar 24 at this time, but who knows what the future holds. I'm a big fan of standardization, and there isn't a lot of it by the sounds of things. So they need to get their act together, don't they, really?
Yeah, another code to add to the list, Nev. But an important one, though, I think.
I can't hear you, Carlos.
Oh, sorry. That's me. I'm muting. Guess because Gemma walked in earlier. I just said it's an important code. Another one to add to the list, but it's also... It's an important code because there are more unmanned vehicles, as we know, in the skies nowadays, and more of these are in and around airports. We get these events, don't we, happening on online.
Yeah, and it's a bit like so many of the cases that we're reading about, not just aviation related, but other technology related things, in that the law or the certification often is behind where the technology is. And I think it's really important to make sure that everyone's singing from the same hymn sheet here. But that it does sound to me as though it's not fully joined up yet, although there's clearly some work to do. I think when we went to the drone summit a couple of years ago, there was a lot of talk about this, wasn't there, in Ireland when we were there, in their discussion with the ARSA about identification for system failures and that kind of thing.
Cool. Can you imagine, Nev, if they started putting ADS-B out onto to all UAVs?
Well, I think they'd run out of bandwidth, probably, couldn't they?
Oh my word, that'd be. Imagine watching FR24 on your phone, and obviously looking at all the aircraft you normally see, and you probably wouldn't see any land or map. It would just be a mass of little tiny UAVs flying around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, now, next up, this one is from CNBC.com. JetBlue, another one, Nev, raising their bag check fees by at least $4 as fuel prices soar. JetBlue Airways is raising bag fees at least $4 as jet fuel prices soar amid the Iran war. Airfare has climbed 4 routes around the globe since the US and Israel attacked Iran on February the 28th. The higher fees for checked bags are the most recent signs of airlines passing steeper fuel costs down to the US consumers, and jet fuel is the airline's biggest expense after labour. JetBlue now lists the price to check a first piece of luggage for domestic, Caribbean and Latin American flights as $39 for off-peak periods, for the most economy passengers up from $35. For peak periods, such as much of the summertime and major holidays, the fee will go up to $49 from $40. If paying less than 24 hours before departure, such as the airport, travellers will pay $10 more. And airlines have charged customers less for prepaying for their checked baggage in recent years. These are exemptions to the bag fees entirely. However, such travellers with a co-branded credit card and frequent flyers with elite status. And as we experience rising costs, said Jet2, we regularly evaluate how to manage these costs while keeping base airfares competitive and continuing to invest in the experience our customers value, JetBlue said in a statement. Fuel prices for Chicago, Houston, Los Angeles and New York averaged at $4.57 a gallon last Friday, up nearly 83% since the day before the war began, according to data from Argus, published by industry group Airlines for America. Adjusting fees for optional services used by select customers such as checked baggage allows us to continue offering more competitive fares while delivering the onboard experience. Including complimentary snacks, drinks, unlimited high-speed Wi-Fi and seatback entertainment screens, JetBlue said. While we recognise the fee increase are never ideal, we take careful consideration to ensure these changes are implemented only when necessary. Now, Nev, I wonder how long it'll be before one of our UK airlines jumps on this bandwagon and increases fees to compensate for what's going on in the Middle East?
Yes. Well, I think that the media, listening to it this morning on the television, they do need to have a word with themselves, because there's more scaremongering going on about jet fuel shortages and all the rest of it. And as far as I'm aware, there is no shortage of jet fuel whatsoever. It's probably more expensive, even with hedging when they bought their fuel up to a year ago, maybe. But to talk about shortages and difficulties and all the rest of it, let's be honest, the corporate and leisure travel industry does not need another moment of COVID. It's barely recovered from the moment it had 6 years ago. Now, the stuff that's going on in Iran is just, horrific on every level. But I think that people need to take a sensible pill when it comes to talking about this stuff as well. So I think that I'm not going to say any more about it, but I feel quite strongly about the way that some of these things are being reported. And it doesn't take much for people to start panic buying at the pumps, at the gas stations and all the rest of it. So I think some careful consideration has to be taken here. And okay, if there's some uplift due to operational costs, fair enough. I get that, but I think they've got to be the PR departments and the media outlets got to be really careful about how they talk about this situation.
Yeah, as we were saying before we went live, Nev, as me and Nev was saying, there was media releases today on Sky News saying that apparently Michael O'Leary at Ryanair has said that even things are getting tight for them, and he foresees issues possibly I will say, not they will be, but possibly happening in and around kind of mid-May to when things will start getting funny with fuel. But you reckon, Nev, that they've probably got plenty stashed away somewhere?
Well, I don't think there's any fuel shortage. I think it's getting it to the right place at the right time. It's one of the biggest operating costs, obviously, of aviation operators. I think did I read yesterday? It was 25% of their operating cost is fuel, something like that. But I think, who knows what's going to happen with the war? We're trying really hard on the show here not to get into the political argument, because that's just a massive can of worms with what goes on every day of the week, and it's just getting ridiculous. So I think some sensible talking is probably required here from all governments around the world. I think that unfortunately every few years there's always a big event, isn't there, around the world somewhere about things that are going to affect your cost of living standards, which are outside of the normal government costings, if you like. So yeah, it's a big issue, big problem.
Yeah, I think the people who brought electric cars now, Nev, are probably rubbing their hands together.
Possibly,
yeah.
But of course, the price of electricity often goes up as well. So,
unless you got solar panels on your house.
Well, yes, that's true.
Yeah.
How's the sunshine in East Anglia? Have you had any today?
It's been dull and grey here, unfortunately.
There you go.
I don't think there'll be many people making loads of money out of solar energy today, but there we go. Right, now Nev, you've got the next story.
Oh, talking of lack of standardisation, here we go again. It's on the chroniclelive.co.uk, and it says that despite the world's troubles, many Brits will be eager to jet off abroad for their annual break and to enjoy some hopefully guaranteed sunshine. Well, as previously reported, there are various new travel rules in place for tourists this year, whilst a change in regulations at some UK airports is apparently catching travellers out. The liquid rule can be a bit of a headache, especially as it can differ, with some airports having ditched the 100 millilitre rule and others, including Newcastle International Airport, still enforcing it. However, the airport now has next generation security machines in place, meaning that liquids as well as electrical items can be left in hand luggage during screening. Whilst the 100ml limit still applies at the likes of Newcastle, Heathrow is amongst those which have lifted it, announcing in an update earlier in the year that we reported on, I seem to remember, that it had completed installation of cutting-edge CT scanning equipment. And this means that passengers can keep liquids in containers of up to 2 litres within their hand luggage when passing through security checks. With rollout of this equipment changing rules in various airports, some also have increased the liquid allowance from 1 to 2 litres. Others, which might have already had the new scanners in place, have had to wait for authorisation from the Department of Transport before limits can be increased. Explaining its own rules, Heathrow Airport said in a statement, passengers travelling through all terminals no longer need to remove liquids or electronics from their hand luggage or juggle plastic bags at security, reports The Express. It added the UK's hub has become the largest airport in the world to fully roll out next generation CT scanners, promising faster queues, less stress and a smoother start to journeys. Below, it says here, are the rules that currently stand at various UK airports. So UK airports that have ditched the 100 millilitre rule are Belfast International, Belfast City, Birmingham, Bristol, Edinburgh, London Gatwick and London Heathrow. As the change has not been rolled out elsewhere, many airports are still enforcing the 100 ml limit. In these cases, liquids must be removed and placed in clear plastic bags. And those airports still enforcing the 100 ml rule, it's quite a long list. It's Aberdeen, Bournemouth, Cardiff, East Midlands, Glasgow International, Glasgow Prestwick, Inverness, Isle of Man, Leeds Bradford, Liverpool, Luton, London City, Manchester, Newcastle, Newquay, Norwich, Southampton, Southend, Stansted and Teesside. However, exemptions remain in place for essential medicines, baby food and milk, as well as for special dietary requirements. Travellers are urged to check their airport's rules before flying, especially ahead of the busy Easter period, to avoid delays or the risk of having items confiscated at security. Amongst passengers' reactions to the change, the Express reports that one traveller flying from Gatwick Airport, where the 100ml rule is lifted, wrote on Reddit, makes the journey just that little bit less stressful. Leave everything in your bag and the laptop as well. Another added, Edinburgh is the same, which is really handy. And a third person said that it's because of a new generation of scanners that allows more liquid and means you don't have to remove laptops, but only a few airports have them so far. But one traveller found problems with the rule differences between airports, saying this change is useless until all major airports follow suit. It's fine on the way out, but if your return airport still has the old rules, you end up throwing things away. It also causes confusion, especially when different London airports have different rules. It should be all or nothing. I couldn't agree more with that. Another added, I've been travelling with just carry-on for years now and wouldn't go back. There's something freeing about not carrying full-size toiletries when you only need a small amount. I agree. Why can't people standardise on the whole thing, the whole system?
Which is exactly
why do we need different things?
Yeah, in the chat room. If they're gonna, I understand this. Obviously, the technology's got to be in place in every single airport to obviously to sort this out, the security issues with the liquids and stuff. But yeah, standardise, sort everything out first, then completely standardise the rules for all airports in the UK. So then there's no one's gonna fall foul then.
Also, I mean, they've had weird stuff going on. I think it was last year, was it, at Heathrow Terminal 5, when 1 minute you could take everything through without taking stuff out of your bag, and then they changed the rules because of some security issue. So we had 4 or 5 months of having to take the stuff out again. It's hard work, and even for a seasoned traveller like me and many of my other colleagues around the world, trying to work out what the rule is at your airport, and also what the rule is in your returning airport, whether it's Brussels or Copenhagen or wherever you are, can be tricky at times. That's for sure.
The problem is if you're flying through somewhere like Stansted on a busy morning, which I've done this year a few times. First thing in the morning, there, Stansted is crazy the amount of people trying to get through security there, and you always get a good handful of people who forget to take their bottle of still water or sparkling water out that they're brought at the brought in from home, or you get the ones that have got those big flasks that have the water in they bring from home as well, and they'll get left and they go, oh sorry, and then they've got to take it out and and it just causes massive amounts of queues and wait.
Yeah. Now, just before we move on, we've got a slight apology to make. Poor old Dirk, who is one of our most prolific chat room contributors, can't actually contribute at the moment because he can't get into the chat room. So it's I think it might be a local problem in Germany, from what I have just read online. So he can actually see and hear the stream, but he can't contribute to the chat. So I realised, Dirk, this is devastating for you. So there's nothing we can do about that. I think it is a localised issue somehow, even though he is saying that he can get onto other streams and he can chat fine on those. So if it is something that we've done, I do apologise, but we have not blocked you, Dirk. I can definitely tell you that for nothing.
No, definitely not. I'm just looking at the chat room now. We've got a number of people in the chat room right now, but yeah, try refreshing, Dirk.
I think he's tried all of that and more, logging out and logging back in and what have you. So,
are you using an Apple device, Dirk?
What a question! Of course he is.
Oh, poor Dirk. Well, we have got. Don't worry, we have got some retro airline ads coming up later, which you'll appreciate, Dirk. So don't worry. Yeah, make Dirk a mod. Yeah, thank you, Sturman. Oh dear, honestly, whatever next. Right, shall we do the next story? Let's do this one from Paddle Your Own Canoe, Nev. Something I've done many years ago.
Yeah.
With a friend, paddle a canoe. This is American Airlines seriously considering bringing back seat back screens to narrow-body aircraft. 8 years after American Airlines started the process of ripping out seatback screens from its narrow-body aircraft, the Texas-based carrier has reportedly put the idea of reversing this course under serious consideration as it explores ways to make itself more premium and better compete with Delta and United. According to CNBC, a decision could be made as soon as next month as the airline rushes to stem profit losses at the hands of rivals that can charge customers more for a better product. American Airlines embarked on its era of screenless narrow-body aircraft back in 2017 when it took delivery of its first Boeing 737 MAX-8 aircraft with a new-look interior, which featured smaller lavatories, less legroom in coach, and seats throughout the aircraft without an in-flight entertainment screen. Despite widespread criticism of the new look, the following year, American Airlines rolled out the concept on older planes as part of its so-called Project Oasis retrofit project. At the time, American Airlines believed that offering the best domestic network alongside lower fares improved on-time performance and was what consumers were looking for. In the years since, Americans' profit margins have been eaten away while Delta and United steal high-spending passengers looking for a premium experience. Until now, however, American Airlines has refused to concede that Project Oasis was a costly mistake that had to be reversed. Even as United Airlines started to roll out seatback screens on its narrow-bodied fleet in 2021, American rejected the idea, pivoting its strategy. Seatback screens are not the only investment that American's management is reconsidering, though. We know that the carrier was in talks with Amazon's high-speed LEO satellite internet service, and now it has emerged that American Airlines is also in discussions with rival Wi-Fi service Starlink. Starlink's already being rapidly deployed across United's fleet, with the service being regarded as a game-changer for the industry. So, yeah, seat back screens on short haul aircraft. I mean, there are some airlines that still provide seat back screens, but I think all of BA's narrow body fleet, Nev, they don't have seat back screens as well on the short haul fleet. Am I right in thinking?
No, they've got some, again, it's a long while since I've flown, but they've got some drop-down screens in their A320 series fleet, which they...
What, those CRT ones?
No, the little LCD ones. The motorised ones. But actually, they don't really use them, if I recall correctly. They used to use it for... route mapping and showing you the worldwide map and how long it's going to take you to get there. I think the thing is with in-flight entertainment, seat back screens are expensive to do it, and also the gear that you need to serve it all as well. I'm not sure. It feels like sort of going back a phase, doesn't it, almost, in the narrow body fleet when people have got their own devices.
I remember the days, Nev, when you had those big pop down heavy CRT displays, and then in the later years you had those the displays that came down from the overhead panels. Every so often there'd be a screen that come down. I think were they TFT displays? I think they were TFT, weren't they?
Yes.
Those displays, yeah. But short haul flights, I mean, it depends what you class as kind of, or a domestic kind of flight, because it could be anything from an hour if you're going up to Edinburgh or Ireland, anything up to 4 hours if you're flying down to, Fuerteventura or the Canary Islands. And what would you like as a passenger? Do you want a seat back screen to watch TV on? Because I know that most of the flights that I've been on in the last year, albeit over to Dublin, pretty much everyone, they've had either their smartphone on with Bluetooth headphones or a iPad or a tablet with device.
Yeah, I think the thing is that the airlines are trying to, understandably balance the customer entertainment experience with the weight, and it's all about the weight, isn't it? How much this gear adds to the weight of the aircraft, and therefore
heat as well, Nev.
Increased fuel burn. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Tricky one. I don't know the answer.
Well, I suppose if you're paying a premium price, you expect a premium product. But, our US listeners will have to let us know what they prefer, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Next story comes to us from flyer.co.uk. And I'll take this one, Nev, because the next story has got lots of pictures I'd like to put up while you're reading it. So this one is Mike Melville, pilot and astronaut, sadly died at the age of 85. So kit plane builder and test pilot astronaut Mike Melville has died at the age of 85. Scale Composites, the legendary aerospace company established by Burt Rutan, issued the following statement. Scale is incredibly sad to hear of the passing of our good friend Mike Melville, who passed away early last Friday morning at 85 years old. Best known for his 2004 Spaceship One flight up past the Kármán line to become the first commercial astronaut, Melville had storied time in Mojave and flight test. Growing up in South Africa, Melville became a machinist at 17, married his childhood sweetheart, Sally, in the late 1960s, where they emigrated to the US and settled in Indiana to become citizens in 1972, with Melville travelling to repair industrial machines for a livelihood. At Oshkosh AirVenture 1974, Melville purchased a set of Vari Vigan plans from the backseat of Burt Rutan's plane and was the first customer to complete their build. On a whim, In 1978, Mike and Sally stopped by Mojave during a West Coast trip in their Vari Vigan to show the plane, and Melvin was offered a job at Rutan's aircraft factory on the spot. He would go on to conduct flight tests for many of the early Rutan designs, including the Long EZ, which, for those of you who watch the show, will know that we've got a few of those here, local to me here in Suffolk, the Starship and Grizzly. As 1982 rolled around, Melville was one of the first scaled employees and Bert's lead test pilot. During his time in Mojave, he was the pilot for 10 first flights of Rutan Aircraft Factory and Scale Composites aircraft, and he's the only pilot other than Dick Rutan or Jenna Yeager to fly the Voyager. Melville built the first Long EZ from plans which he later took on a journey around the world with Dick Rutan in 1997 for the Spirit of EAA Friendship World Tour around the world in 80 nights. 1988 brought the development and first flight of Proteus, where the high altitude development flight test campaign won Melville the Society of Experimental Test Pilots Ivan C. Cancello Trophy. In 2000, he would take the Proteus up with Bob Waldemiller to set 3 new altitude records for the aircraft's weight class. During the first 2 of X-Prize qualifying flights, Melville took Spaceship One up for a second flight into space. The Spaceship One team were awarded the Ivan C. Cancello Trophy, his second recognition for the honour. Melville retired from Scale Composites back in 2007, and that Scale Composites are fortunate to have had the opportunity to know him, and they said they'll sent their condolences to the Melville family. What a career, Nev. And I have to say that knowing someone local to me here at Seething Airfield that owns a Long EZ, and he's taken me up in that before for a flight, it's an incredible aircraft. If anyone listening has ever had a chance to sit passenger in a Long EZ, it's an interesting looking aircraft as well, Nev. I think you've been.
God, it's completely unique looking, isn't it? And I don't know whether we can give him a shout out. Your chum.
Yeah, Dan. Yeah, Dan over at Seething. Yeah, he's got his Rutan, the Long EZ, which he's done so many mods to it as well. It looks awesome. He's completely overhauled the avionics system on that as well since I went out in that before with him. And it's the one and only time that I've been either flying or been a passenger in a light, aircraft where I felt ill, but that was due to the fact of the speed that we were doing in this aircraft and the manoeuvres that Dan was doing at the time, Nev. It's one of those stomach in the bottom of your pants moments.
I'm more of a straight and level fellow when it comes to flying, I have to say.
Yeah, but an awesome bit of kit, but yeah, long.
With the occasional rate one turn, but that's about it, really. But no, absolutely amazing. The very, very sad here about Mike, who's passed away. Yeah.
Right, it's all about the next story, which is all about the Europe's best airports, Nev.
Yeah, this is a very odd story, and you have to bear with me on this because the way it's written is not great, I have to say. It's on timeout.com, and it says World Airport Awards. These are officially Europe's best airports in 2026. And it starts Singapore's Changi Airport, home to a forest valley and the world's tallest indoor waterfall, has once again been named as the best in the world by Skytrax's annual World Airport Awards. That is not in Europe, I have to say. This is the 14th win for the airport, which last year served nearly 70 million passengers. Asian hubs filled out the rest of the top 5, with Seoul Incheon coming in second place and Tokyo Haneda coming in third. Notably, Doha Hamad Airport, last year's second place winner, is missing from this year's rankings after the airport pulled out of conferences, awards and events due to the ongoing Middle East conflict. 4 European airports ranked amongst the best in the world this year: Paris Charles de Gaulle, I don't know how that's even possible. Rome, Fiumicino, Istanbul, and Munich. And here's where they all landed in the top 10. So the Skytrax World Airport Awards 2026 winners are, in number 10, Vancouver, position number 9, Munich, 8, Istanbul, Rome Fiumicino, Paris Charles de Gaulle, Tokyo Narita, Hong Kong, Tokyo Haneda, Seoul Incheon, and Singapore Changi. Well, the Oscars of Aviation recognises hubs across the planet for outstanding customer satisfaction based on a comprehensive survey of travellers, which this year ran from August to February. Travellers were asked about every aspect of the airport experience. It's quite a deep dive, it says. Questions range from the friendliness of airport staff to cleanliness, entertainment options, and even the availability of luggage trolleys. Over 575 airports were assessed to determine the final ranking. So the highest one in the European area is Paris Charles de Gaulle at position number 6. If I was doing the voting, I would not have voted for that airport.
Well, we'll just bring up the full high-res colour photo of Charles de Gaulle, which obviously shows it in its glory. Here we go, Nav, are you ready? There we go. Beautiful there picture of the state-of-the-art Charles de Gaulle airport. I don't know if you can see that picture there, Nev. That's how I remember it from the time that I've went through Charles de Gaulle. It was like walking. It was like going back to the late 60s, early 70s, Nev.
I think we should have worded that whole story, to be honest with you, because it's talking about the World Airport Awards, and then it talks about the European part of it. So I think it was just poorly worded. So my apologies for that. But so Rome, Fiumicino, Istanbul, and Munich came in there as well. Love to go into Istanbul one of these days. Actually, have not been to it. That's some place, isn't it?
It's a heck of an airport. When you see the pictures, Nev, it's huge. I mean, Dubai Airport is a large airport, but they've really, got something special there.
Yeah,
for sure.
Certainly.
Next story from the Haggerty.co.uk. And Holiday Heroes, this is celebrating aviation's supporting characters. It's hard to say exactly when private air travel stopped being glamorous and started to become an ordeal to be tolerated in the furtherance of a summer holiday or a visit to some distant relative. These days, it's all about cramming bums onto seats and selling them as many sandwiches and scratch cards as possible, rather than serving cocktails and caviar while cruising 10 kilometres above the Earth's surface. Actually, I'll pop a picture on the screen for those of you watching in the world of YouTube there. Only the aircraft we travel on still hold on to some distant association with the high life that international travellers once knew. At least they still look like their boundary pushing forebearers, even in their engineers that were quieter and their cabins that were crammed full of people on their way to stag do's in Benidorm. Whilst those graceful silverbirds get all the headlines, it's the supporting cast that really deserves the appreciation. Much like the end credits of a film featuring a handful of A-listers, nothing happens without their help. Often unseen or playing only a walk-on role, there's an enormous team of skilled and highly specialised workers making everything happen. Specialist support vehicles are the Oompa Loompas of transport, destined to remain in the same place for their working lives and then invisible after we are unknowingly entirely dependent on the enormous variety of tugs and baggage trucks and load carriers and tow tractors for our holiday success. Glimpsed through the aeroplane window or on a park service tunnel, you'll probably have wondered where these vehicles come from, how fast they can go, and how much they cost. Of course, these thoughts are then banished until next year's holiday once the in-flight movies start to roll. Before your attention has waned, you'll have spotted that one of those little tractors pulling behind its several small trailers are suitably stuffed with suitcases. Chances are it would have been produced in Germany's Mulag. apparently unaware of the unfortunate associations with the failed airline of the 1950s by the same name and 50 tons. That's a fully fueled 757-300. And this is a tractor that is no larger than a typical city car. So for these of you watching in the world of YouTube, there you'll see on the screen there. But it's one thing, it's a true story though, Nev. When we were sitting on board the aircraft, waiting to depart, and you look outside, you never really sort of take much thought as to all the various vehicles that are part of the whole process of boarding, loading, unloading, and all the stuff that goes into your flight.
No, indeed. And just looking at the chat room, David Bone says we went from glamorous travel to mass market cattle floats, albeit via the fantastic barley sugar on descent era of the 1980s. And Armando, who's in the chat room, said, when I lived in the UK, I bought a 1989 Land Rover Series 3 from the RAF that only had 3,000 miles on it. It never left Bryce Norton. Amazing.
They were the vehicles to own.
Yeah.
Good service histories, low mileage, well maintained. Yeah. Don't know what airport vehicle I'd most like to have if I had the chance of having one. Apart from an aircraft, of course. I suppose one of the things that would probably be handy for me, Nev, would be a set of drivable air stairs.
Oh, that's an idea. Yes, that's a good idea. Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine the time it would save when you wanted to clean your windows or, your fascias on the side of your house or any, roofing projects? Just drive up, walk up the steps, boom.
I tell you what, not exactly related to this, but when I was working, I visited a number of US Air Force bases in the UK, where the currency of choice is the US dollar, of course. And not only that, the fuel, petrol or gas, whatever you would like to call it, was priced in US dollars at the US dollar price, not the UK price. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, no.
No. I was not allowed to fill up my Focus ST with US gas at this particular US Air Force base. It was actually a joint US UK Air Force base, actually. But yes, so their shops that they have there on the base, all based in US dollars, and of course they have all the US confectionery as well. But they did have US gas at US gas prices, not at UK prices.
Richard Adams in the chat room, Nev, says a set of the air stairs would be ideal for a spotter.
Perfect. Yeah, although with all the stuff that's going on at Fairford at the moment, you might get asked to leave, mightn't you?
Apparently,
dear.
David Bone is saying that his mum has a 2-year-old Volkswagen Polo with 350 miles on it.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, my word. What we should do really is ask a pilot what particular ground vehicle that he would love to have at home. Andy?
Ooh, if only we had one.
If Andy's there? He was there? No? It's I thought Andy was there. Obviously not. Is he there, Nev?
No, well, he's sort of there, but I can't.
He's sort of there.
Yes, yeah. But we'll come back to you, Andy, in a minute. Yeah.
Right, Nev. It's that time of the week again where we go back a few years.
We do. It's the Retro Airline Ad of the Week, and this week we head back 35 years to 1991. I can barely believe I'm saying that, and to an airline that had all the luck and flies 50 flights a day between Ireland and London with a 747. Then we rewind back to 1979 and an airline that has not just the L1011 but the Super Jumbo. And is that Captain Jeff in disguise?
You are cleared to 2,000 feet. Aer Lingus, you are cleared for takeoff.
our experience as an international airline, we've been called friendly. We've been called businesslike. We've been called attentive. But with over 50 flights a day between London and Ireland...
Yes, put me on Aer Lingus on Friday morning.
We really think you should call us first. Aer Lingus.
Naturally.
かの有名なチャップリンがあなたのこれまでの最大傑作はと聞かれた時に NEXT ONE と答えたそうです。 NEXT ONE 次を見てくれ。なんと素晴らしい言葉ではありませんか。まもなくここにスーパージャンボ500人乗りがやってまいります。全日空の NEXT ONE スーパージャンボです。ジャンボ。
Wow.
What do you? That's Captain Jeff's distant cousin, I think, Nev.
Oh, look more like Captain Nick, actually. Good Lord.
Dear.
There's very few times when I'm lost for words, but this is one of those occasions, I'm afraid. Dear.
I just love the statement in that first Aer Lingus advert where it says, you know, all those flights a day between the UK and Ireland with the 747.
Yeah.
Did they really ever use? Did they honestly run a 747 from Ireland to London?
I doubt it. No. I doubt it somehow. But yeah, gosh.
Oh dear. Yeah. Excellent.
Well, there's plenty more to come, isn't there? On the retro airline ads, we're not short of material. There's lots of
we've got
stuff.
a few more hidden away. But Andy, are you with us?
No, he's not.
He's still not there. No, he's still not there. Right, right. What have we got next, Nev?
Well, next it's the military segment, and of course we've got plenty to talk about on this occasion, with a great contribution from Armando as well. But let's have a look at what we've got on this week's military segment.
What's up, Buggies 13550, Angel 16, heading 340. Okay. Undersea Buggies.
Well, slightly controversial, this first story. Not that we do that on this show, of course. Comes to us from metro.co.uk, and the headline, big one, this one. Spain closes its airspace to any aircraft involved in the Iran war. The European country is blocking US jets stationed in third countries such as the UK, France, from using its airspace in the war against Iran, according to El País. The decision has complicated Trump's attempt to oust the Iranian regime and occasionally forced B-52s and B-1 bombers flying from the UK to change their route to the Middle East. Spain had already denied permission for American fighter planes to refuel aircrafts and to use the air bases in Cadiz and Seville. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez first hinted at the decision last Wednesday and said, "We have denied the United States use of the Rota and Moran air bases for this," as he said, "illegal war." All flight plans contemplating actions relating to the operation in Iran have been rejected. All of them, including those for refueling aircraft, he said. Spanish authorities will be reportedly making an exception for emergency situations where their country's airspace is needed. The airspace closure has frustrated Operation Epic Fury for US bombers flying from RAF Fairford in the UK to the Gulf. In some cases where their jets have not been able to fly over France, either because Paris has not been authorised due to the cargo for operational reasons, they've been forced to fly all the way around the Iberian Peninsula to enter through the Strait of Gibraltar. These jets are forced to refuel with tanker aircraft stationed in Lagés Air Base in the Azores over in Portugal. And the ban has not extended to US naval ships, though, stationed in the Rota Naval Base in Cadiz, which have played a crucial role in the conflict. The USS Oscar Austin and the USS Roosevelt and the USS Berkeley have been deployed in the eastern Mediterranean to protect Israel from revenge strikes launched by Iran. So, Nev, Spain putting the hammer down.
Well, I'm not surprised, to be honest with you. It's all very well with the stance that the US have taken, but they need everybody on board. And if some of those countries aren't on board, it's their airspace at the end of the day. And unfortunately, unless you've got a very good sort of collegiate attitude towards the war, you're going to have people with differences of opinion. And this is one of them. And the UK is another one, although we have offered some assistance. But it's just horrific, the whole thing. And I think what you have to remember, notwithstanding the fact of what's gone on in Iran previously, is the loss of life that will come with all of this as well. And military operations normally means loss of life somewhere, doesn't it? And I don't know what to say about it, really. That's helpful in these situations. I'm sure all of our listeners and viewers have got many opinions about it. But every day that goes by, something else happens, and there's another angle on it, isn't there? So, in fact, you could say that although there's been differences of opinion between the US and their allies in previous wars, this particular one is quite notable, I would say.
Yeah. And I was hoping it was going to be over soon, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be over any time soon, Nev, unfortunately.
No.
However,
on a more positive note, Armando has very kindly agreed to give us a weekly update on his opinion on things, not from a political point of view, but from an aircraft and operational point of view. And here he is with this week's offering, where he gives us his thoughts.
Hey team, air operations over Iran this week show a shift in how these targets are being worked. Fighters and drones are now driving much of the day-to-day activity, keeping pressure on those targets between larger strike missions. Over the past 7 days, U.S. and coalition aircraft have continued to hit missile sites, storage areas, and that support infrastructure across the entire country. Overall, the pace hasn't changed very much since last week. What has changed is how that pressure is being applied. Instead of relying mainly on large planned strike packages, there's now more of a continuous activity with smaller missions happening throughout the day, often being driven by real-time information, real targeting information from intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance aircraft. Long-range bombers are still very much part of the operation, but they're working more as periodic heavy hitters rather than the center of every strike cycle. Meanwhile, Iran continues to respond with missiles and drones across the region, which obviously keeps air defenses active and keeps U.S. aircraft very alert. The entire system is still very much on high alert. So while the pace is steady, the rhythm of the campaign is starting to look a little bit different. This week, the balance between fighters and drones is becoming more clear. Fighters are doing what they do best, staying flexible. Aircraft like the F-35 and the F-15E are being used across multiple roles in the same mission set. They can move from escort to strike or shift targets entirely depending on what's happening in the moment. That flexibility matters when the situation isn't exactly fixed, right? And that's where we are at this point in the conflict. Now, at the same time, unmanned aircraft, drones, are shaping the fight in a much quieter way. They are there. They're staying on station. They're watching key areas. They're building that continuous picture of everything that's happening on the ground. That information feeds directly into the decision-making for crews already in the air. We've talked about that over the last couple years, where now it's just a much more integrated environment. Think of it as the sort of internet in the sky where all the information is available to almost everyone almost instantly. So instead of flying towards a fully planned target set, fighters are often working with this developing picture. They may launch with a general plan, but adjust along the way based on what the drones are seeing, what satellite coverage may be seeing, maybe manned aircraft are seeing. That shortens the loop between finding a target and acting on it. It also changes how missions feel from the cockpit. You are not just executing a pre-planned sequence, you are staying ready to shift direction at any point. And while drones help reduce uncertainty, they also increase the amount of information coming in. You have to have more awareness that you have to manage. At the same time, this type of approach spreads the activity out all over the entire country. Instead of a few large strike windows, operations are happening more continuously, which keeps a steady pressure on targets, but also keeps the aircraft in the air more often. That alone has its own costs: more sorties, more transitions, more time operating in an active environment, a contested environment still. So while this sort of information management model adds flexibility, it also increases the demand across the board and across the entire conflict. A few other developments this week: fighter presence remains strong in the region, with aircraft continuing to operate from multiple bases alongside our coalition partners. That obviously helps distribute the missions, but it also means that more coordination is required in this shared and increasingly crowded airspace. The unmanned activity, the drone activity, is also increasing on both sides. Iran continues to use drones to target positions and civilian targets and military targets all the way across the region, while U.S. and coalition systems remain focused on mostly surveillance and target support. So overall, the campaign still appears focused on sustained pressure rather than a single decisive strike or just, these big strikes. From a cockpit standpoint, again, this kind of flying keeps you engaged the entire time. There's less of a clear break between phases of the mission. Now you're just constantly sort of just taking in all this new information throughout your mission, checking your position in the flow, staying ready to adjust. You obviously get command and control involved in that, where they may redirect you to a different target, different mission all entirely. So with all the drones feeding these updates, you got to have a good picture, but that picture can change very quickly. So as a pilot, as crew in all of these airplanes, you're just always planning, like, is the plan still the same or does it need to change? When the airspace is active or contested, that question comes up more often. It's not about reacting late, it's about staying ahead of it. That's where the training comes in. Looking ahead at the next week, watch how this balance develops, see if fighters and drones continue to carry more of this workload. Operations may spread out and be more continuous rather than these concentrated larger strikes that we're talking about. That would continue to keep a steady pressure on Iran, but also keeps the demand high. That's the air picture for this week. I'm Armando. Thanks for listening, and we'll pick this up again next week.
And thank you, Armando, for another awesome report this week. Doesn't he do well, Nev?
He's almost he knows what he's talking about, isn't it? No, it's superb. Really great contribution, Armando. Thank you very much indeed for sending these in every week, because every week something's different happening, isn't there? So it's good to get your angle on it as well. Really appreciate it. Yeah, and appreciate that very much, Armando. If you could do that every week, that would be so good. And I know Armando's in a chat room as well. So loads of love in there for him as well from the chat room. But thanks again, Armando, for sending that through. And that is a nice little report each week, Nev, and it also gives you the chance to skip reading a military story, Nev. Well, there is that, and also to have someone that has been there and done it as well. Exactly. Yeah. Right, now it's time for an update on the upcoming 600th show. For those of you who may know, we are having our big live show, the 600th, on the 22nd of May this year. And as
you all know our venue is going to be the Imperial War Museum at Duxford at the Airside Suite. So, Nev, what's going on?
Well, we are full up. We have fully booked the meeting space that we've got and the restaurant. However, we are accepting what I would term standby or wait list guests. So should anyone be unable to make it at the last minute, send us an email to podcast@planetalkinguk.com if you want to look at this as a possibility, as there's always the option to squeeze one or two more people in. So although we are full, if somebody drops out, then that does open up the possibility of giving somebody else an opportunity to come. But no, we are full up. We will be featuring Alan White at the event. Alan will be telling us about his flying career, as well as his varied work on the fixed-wing assets for the Irish Coast Guard. I think it's going to make a really interesting session. Russell Marriott is an aviation historian who is a volunteer at the Imperial War Museum, who's going to tell us about the history of Duxford. And I think that's going to be really interesting, especially for those who've not visited the museum before. And Russell's going to be with us the whole day as well. So plenty of opportunity for you to quiz him on any aspect of Duxford. Derek Grinner-Smith has also very kindly agreed to give us a presentation about his vast military and civil aviation career. A blast through the last 45 years, as he puts it. I think that's going to be very interesting as well. And Armando has also agreed to give us a talk about some of his time in the US military whilst based here in the UK, amongst other topics as well. There'll be a quiz for those who are attending the event, and we'd also like to thank John Falk very much indeed for offering to provide us with some excellent prizes. And Andy, our very own Andy, is also kindly donating some prizes too. So thank you very much to you, Andy. Carlos has ordered the special 600th edition PTUK T-shirts for all of you that have asked for one, and you'll be able to pick those up with your lanyard on the day itself. So we should have those in a few weeks' time. But yeah, that's the story so far. So if you still want to come, send me an email to podcast@planetalkinguk.com. We are full at the moment, but let's see if we can squeeze you in somewhere.
Yeah, as Nev said, we have got the T-shirts on order, and they have got a brand new logo, Nev, haven't they? A sort of additional part of the logo featuring the Osprey on. So, yeah, going to be a good day. Looking forward to it immensely, as me and Nev were saying before we came on air tonight. But Andy, you're going to be there as well, obviously. So be good for all the listeners to finally meet our kind of newest member of the team, I would say.
Hello. Yes, and hello, everybody. I'm sorry I arrived late. Been a busy day.
What have you been up to, Andy? What have you been up to? Have you been flying?
I was flying yesterday, yes. A nice little trip out up to Scotland. And then today I have been instructing in the simulator. So a nice mix.
Any interesting scenarios in the sim that you can tell us about, Andy?
Oh, some very interesting scenarios. I'm not going to give them away because there might be some listeners from my airline, and I don't want to give the surprise away before they come for the next recurrent sim session. But it was good fun. And it's nice to see what I actually design finally being put into action in the sim and seeing how crews react to it and stuff like that. So, yeah, really good fun. It was nice.
So a double engine failure on rotate then?
Yeah. I don't know how you come back from that one or get a good grade on that one, but there we go.
Do you find that when you've, I know you spend a lot of time having designed these scenarios, actually playing them out for real, and you really put everything into it to make sure that they are robust? Do you still find that after some crews have been using some of the things that you've done, you go, actually, we could probably tweak that a bit and we'll change that?
Yes, well, today was the first proper live run through with a crew, and they managed, and they didn't know what was coming, they managed to circumnavigate what I actually intended to happen. So I had to think on the fly of how to get towards the learning objective that I wanted, and I saw 3 holes in it where I thought, actually, they can go that way, they can go that way, or they can go that way. So I came up with a plan of how to plug those holes, and now I've got to change all the documentation before everybody else starts it, so that the learning objectives that are set are actually the ones that are taught. So yes, it can be interesting. I try my hardest, and I test it a lot, and try and find all possible outcomes, but sometimes, well, I'm only one brain, so I can't think of everything all of the time. Sometimes this happens, but it was quite cool. It was great fun as well to have to think on the fly of, right, how can I get these guys back to where I want them to be without interfering in the scenario? So air traffic control became quite picky, and that's how I got them where I wanted them.
And how do you, when you're designing these things, I mean, I see you as a bit of sort of glue between your company's standard operating procedures and the manufacturer's standard operating procedures as well, I would imagine.
I design these things under evidence-based training. What we're really trying to train is the competency to deal with any problems. So the scenarios that I build and the failures that I use, the failures don't really matter. I'm getting boring now. There's something called equivalence of malfunctions under evidence-based training, where and it has a series of characteristics, 5 different characteristics are assigned to a failure. And if several characteristics several failures carry the same characteristics, you can if you can deal with that failure, you can deal with all of them with that same characteristic. So I can then pick and choose, depending on what I want the outcome to be, what the series of failures are. But then as part of that, in the overall thing, we still check an SOP and everything else, because that's just part of operating the aircraft. So we want them to deal with the problem, but then still operate the aircraft as they would on the line as well. So it all ties in quite nicely.
I remember you saying to me a while ago that, that there's been a big change from what I would call the big scenarios, the V1 cuts, the engine failure after takeoff and all the rest of it, to more nuanced situations like a slow fuel leak, slow decompression. Is that more important now than ever before, that kind of thing?
Yeah, and some scenarios don't have a single failure in at all, because in reality, the problems that pilots come across on the line are generally external or cabin related. So I'm dreaming up one scenario at the moment where you never actually leave the ground, and several things happen over a period of about an hour, and you've got to deal with them, deal with the passengers, deal with everything else. Yeah. I think it's going to be a big slot delay that causes that, so then all of these things happen on the ground. It's good. In the olden days, or the old legacy way of training, it used to be you have to cover this system, that system, this system, you have to cover this item, that item. In evidence-based training, we just have to make sure that the competencies are covered, and it leaves us open to design whatever we want. And it makes it more realistic as well. And I think it's going to be fascinating to do more scenarios where there aren't actually any failures.
Yeah, of course, and it's very possible you could be a airline pilot for 30 years and have never experienced an engine failure or exactly. a big hydraulic moment or whatever.
The chances are so slim of that occurring. Why in the past did we go in the simulator every 6 months and have an engine failure at the most difficult point of V1 when the chances of that happening are so slim? It's a waste of training time. It's a waste of money. There's far better things we can be training in that time.
Yeah, I would also say that certainly my experience is only on BA, because that's where I've been flying. When things go wrong from an operational point of view, the communication from the flight deck has been really good, and I guess this is part of it as well. It's not just the operation of the aircraft in the air, but it's all the other stuff that can go wrong as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And you've got to bring the customer into it as well, because they're all sat behind you. You're just two blokes, people sat in the front, and they want to know what's going on. When I'm a passenger and something happens, I want to know what's going on. So I try my hardest when I'm operating the aircraft. If there's delays, problems, issues, be open and honest with them. Tell them what's happening, when you'll be back in touch with them. Even if you've got no news for them, I try and give it every 20 minutes. Hello, it's me again. Got nothing to tell you yet. I'll be back in touch shortly. They prefer it. As long as they kept informed, they're all adults, They'd much rather know what was going on, even if nothing's happening.
Andy,
yeah, absolutely.
How do you come up with the ideas for the scenarios, and how long does it take? So when you come up with an idea for a scenario in the sim, how long does it then take to then put that idea, that scenario, into the sim itself as a program?
Well, it starts with what are the training needs for the next sort of sim session. So we gather all the airlines have mountains of data, huge amounts of data on everything, incidents, training results, everything. We gather all of that together and look at what areas do we really need to focus on here. So that's the start point. Then there's a lot of there's still regulatory items I have to cover within evidence-based training. They're called training topics. So then it's a case of take the training topics that match the competencies that you want to train, and then start there and then build a scenario from there. Now, sometimes you can sit and write that scenario down on paper. You think, yeah, I've come up with a good idea. You go in the sim and it just doesn't work. There's no flow to it. It doesn't work properly. So then you bin it and you start again. It's a bit... Somebody asked me today, like, what's the process you use? There's no real defined process. You just have your starting point of what the training needs are, and then the end point is the learning objectives of the exercise, and you build the exercise around what those objectives are. And sometimes it's hit and miss. Sometimes an idea just clicks, comes straight away, and you go, yes, that'll work perfect. Then other times it's experimentation for a few months and getting different people in to experience it and see what they do with it. And if the general consensus between them is, yes, that works, then cool, it goes in.
Blimey.
Also, you've got situations perhaps down route where, I don't know, you're preparing the aircraft to come back home, and you're going through the checklist, and the local flight dispatcher just comes steaming into the flight deck with his bit of paper and interrupts a crucial part of your checklist as well. I mean, you must have very good discipline to say, can you just hold that for a minute and we will just finish this, or I'll talk to you in a second when we've finished this part of the checklist.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And even in the sim we trained that in the last set of sims that we did, I put in that the de-icing guys just call up when they're in the middle of doing checks in. Right, we're going to start de-icing now, cheers. Even when the aircraft's not ready, nothing's done, and it's to see if they can handle it, communicate correctly, stop it happening, and just slow things down. Because ground crews are very mission oriented, just like pilot and cabin crew are. They just want to get the job done, but sometimes you need to slow down and just take things slowly.
Yeah, Darren in the chat room says that surely pilot training has been the same for decades. All the issues have been there forever.
Pilot training has been the same for decades, but evidence-based training moves away from the legacy way of training where it was all set pieces and it was more task-orientated, so particular failures, whereas now we move towards competency-based training. Train the competency, then you can deal with any issue at all. It doesn't matter what it is. So that's where the issues are still broadly similar. The main issue in any aeroplane is the human, because automation and the systems have become so reliable and so good. We haven't evolved in the past 100 years, because evolution takes thousands of years, tens of thousands, millions. So we're still the problem, and that's where we've got to train us in how to handle things, communicate properly, leadership and teamwork, and also still how to fly the airplane, even with the automation.
Yeah, and I think this is the other thing. If you go back to the 60s and 70s, engine unreliability was a given, wasn't it? That was part of how airlines operated, and you would expect to have an engine failure at some point in your career. Whereas fast forward 40 years, as I said earlier, that very rarely happens.
That's it, and that's why the industry's moving away from that model of training all these particular failures that are catastrophic, but the chance of them happening are very slim.
Also, the other thing that was, I was speaking to Captain Al about this a couple of years ago. He was saying that in some sort of scenarios in the simulator, there's things like single engine go arounds are taught and all the rest of it, but what is less taught is an all engine go around at sort of very light weights, for example. So you've just come back from the Canaries, and then Luton would like you to do a missed approach, and suddenly you've got all this incredible amount of power available to you, where you're going to bust through altitude restrictions and all sorts of things, aren't you?
Yep. And now every simulator that we do a 2-engine go around, at least one. And in the last one that we did, it was from 4 different positions on the approach. And another really tricky one is if you've just gone below the go-around altitude where you'd level off, going around from that point is an incredibly exciting, everything's happening moment, because you still have to go into go-around mode, but then you're suddenly at the altitude, you're accelerating quickly, you've got to be ready for it and deal with it.
Yeah, and the vertical speed indicator is doing its nut at this point, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of nuance in it now, isn't there, as well, compared to some of the failures that you would have expected many decades ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd call it. It's not black and white anymore. It's very grey. There's lots of black and white. There's one way of doing it. There's one answer. Is that true? I purposely design things so that you can deal with it in multiple ways. Ultimately, as long as it's a safe outcome, does it matter? There's always something we can learn from everything that we do. But ultimately, was that safe? Were you competent in doing it? Yes, box ticked. The olden days, instructors would say to you, well, yes, you did that, but the way you should have done it is this way. What's the point?
Do you ever get the opportunity of, I know it's a more modern way of approaching it, but if you had a crew that had a bit of a moment in your company, would you bring them in, not for a reprimand, but to learn from them, for them to tell other people that are training, look, this happened to us and we've now worked out this was the reason for it happening?
Absolutely, yeah. We've done that in the past. We speak to them, it's generally the safety department that does all the work, so they talk to them and go, look, are you happy for us to share your story? We won't have to tell you that it was you, but you can get involved in it. And some of them have actually gone, no, I tell you what, I'll do a little video on it, because anybody can get caught out by this. And that is incredibly powerful. When you see the people that have experienced it firsthand, that really makes you think, wow, this could happen to me. And that makes a big difference. But yeah, we actively strive to do that.
Yeah, that's a good approach. Just while we're in the chat room, John Ellis has said, what's happened to Captain Al and his podcast? Well, Captain Al's a very busy fellow these days, working for his company, doing a liaison with Airbus as well. So between him and Pip, who do the podcast together, they can't find a time to get together at the moment. So that's probably the reason why we've not heard anything from them for a while. But both Pip and Al will be at the 600th show. So there's opportunity for comedy and comment, shall we say.
A quick one for you, Andy. When you're doing these scenarios in the sims and you've got pilots in their training or doing their rear current training or whatever, is it like a grading thing for you as a sim instructor? Are they graded out of like 1 to 10, or is it just a purely you done that right, well done, you passed?
So the only part that we grade is what's called the evaluation, which is the first thing they do in the sim. It's called the first look principle. So as instructors, we don't get involved. We want to see where they are currently, and then if there's any areas for development, and then we grade each competency. So there's 9 different competencies, and it's a grade of 1 to 4 in our airline. So 1 is a fail, 4 is exceptional, and then we grade all of those, and then we take that data. So when I said where we get the info for what our training needs are, we take the entire airline population of 5,000 odd pilots, split them into captains and first officers, and see what areas people are doing very good in, and what areas are doing, what area people need work on.
Has anyone ever got straight 4s all the way through?
Yeah.
Just thought that'd be quite cool if you were that good. I mean, obviously you are, Andy, straight 4s all the way through.
I'm bang average pilot. But yeah, we've had people get 4s straight through.
And do you find it is the younger kind of the fresh pilots who are coming through the system now that are that are quick learners, that are good at what they do, or?
Yeah, as with any walk, like everybody learns at different rates. That includes the younger people as well. So yeah, everybody's an individual, really. There's a standard we expect, and they normally reach that standard. We don't expect perfection when you start flying. You don't. When you get to an airline, enough. You do your type rating, which is quick fire. Like, here's all the systems, here's all your sims. Right, you're now type rated. That's the point where you actually start learning about the aeroplane, because you've got the absolute basics of what the airplane's capable of. And if you really want to get into the airplane, you've got to keep your head in the books for a good number of years to learn it. especially off the Airbus, the 320. Even though it's a 40-year-old airplane, it is incredibly complex with all the fly-by-wire systems, all the protections. There's so much nuanced stuff in there that it's impossible to know it all. But if you really want to know it, you've got to spend a lot of time reading.
Quick question from Darren in the chat room. Andy, have you ever come across any pilots in the sim who you thought are in the wrong profession, i.e. not good?
Never in the wrong profession. Some maybe just need a bit of coaching to help them along to get them where they should be. That's the diplomatic answer, I think. Yes.
I don't know if you can answer this next question because this will require even more diplomacy, or you may choose not to answer it. John Ellis says, if they fail, I assume that they are retained, but when do you pull the plug on them?
Oh, that's not my decision. That's a different department. And yes, that's not for me to comment on.
I didn't think it would be, but I thought I'd ask anyway. Yeah.
Yes.
Obviously, all our chat room listeners, and obviously,
thank you, John, for asking.
me and Nev would excel. Nev, I think we'd make a great flight deck team. Me and you.
Oh yeah, the flying bit's all right. The bit I couldn't deal with is all the disruption and all the other stuff that crews have to deal with. Luckily, the cabin crew have to deal with most of that, unfortunately. But yeah, delays due to passenger misbehaviour. Never a good thing.
Yes. Once you get the wheels off the ground, it's normally quite a straightforward job. It's not the ground that's the problem normally.
Right, we're going to start to wrap up the show. So, Nev, for the benefit of not just the YouTube listeners, but the audio listeners as well, where can they find out more about us and also send in their feedback, Nev?
Yes. So if you're on the social medias, which I know many of you are, on Facebook, X, Instagram or LinkedIn, just search those platforms for Plane Talking UK. You can send us an email to podcast@planetalkinguk.com, and you can send us WhatsApp messages as well to our WhatsApp number, which is +44 7446 975 214 for your aviation pictures, etc. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you do a subscribe and like, because that helps us with the numbers. And if you do that, you'll get notifications when we go live, and you can help shape the conversation of the show by joining us in the chat room. Just go to youtube.com and search for Plane Talking UK. As I mentioned earlier in the show, we have some running costs with the show, and people are very generous because they help us by using Patreon or PayPal to donate money if they can afford to do so. And you can get all the information on that by going to our website, planetalkinguk.com, and look for the Support Us logo at the top right-hand side of the page.
Yes, and we would love to hear from you. So if you'd like to send us some feedback, we would very much love to hear from you. You can send it in, as Nev said, via the website, or you can email us, podcast@planetalkinguk.com. Love to hear from you. Right, that's where we're going to wrap up the show. Going to say a big thanks to Nick this week. Done a lot of work on the show notes in the background, so thanks to you, Nick. Also, big thanks to all the chat room for joining us tonight. As always, all the chat room family, great to see you all in there. Don't forget we'll be back next Wednesday with another show. And also, thanks, Andy, for joining us tonight. I forgot to ask where your hotel location is on this fine Wednesday night.
Oh, it's my usual spot in good old Gatwick.
Ah, beautiful Gatwick. Right, I'm going to leave it up to you, Nev, to say goodbye to everyone. And thanks for tuning in, as always, everyone.
Yes, hopefully everybody has a happy Easter for those that celebrate. And I've got one or two Easter eggs to distribute to my grandchildren as well this weekend. So hopefully everybody has a nice extended weekend for those who are having extra time off. And we'll be back on Wednesday of next week, 7 o'clock UK time. Take care of yourselves, and bye for now.
Well, that's another one in the can.
Yeah, glad to see that Dirk managed to join us in the chat room with his alternative profile. I have no idea what's happened there, Dirk, why you weren't able to join us with your normal profile. Don't know if that's a local YouTube thing in Germany or in your part of Germany, but yeah, very odd.
He's bored.
It's nothing that we did. I promise you that.
No. No, you'll be fine next week, Dirk. _alt. And that is where we're going to head off this evening, guys and girls. So big thanks again to all the chat room for joining us tonight. Love you all, and enjoy your Easter break if you're having an Easter break or doing something fun for Easter. I'm sure most of you all are with your Easter eggs, eating loads of chocolate, which I may well do this year, definitely. So yeah, enjoy yourselves, have fun, and for those of you who are having a long weekend this weekend, because most of us are off work Friday and next Monday, it'll be nice, Nev, nearly a whole week off. Beautiful. Unlike yourself though, Nev, who
well, every day's the same, frankly, so it doesn't matter.
Anyway, right, if you'd like to say goodbye to the chat room, Nev, I shall cut the stream.
Yeah, thanks Andy for joining us as well. Really appreciate your insights into your training stuff that you're designing. Really interesting as well. So thanks for that.
My pleasure, as always. Sorry I was late.
No, not at all. Not at all. But yeah, brilliant contribution, and thanks for that. Take care of yourselves, folks. See you next week. All the best. Bye for now.